Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and I am here to kick off a reading vlog to set sail on the Orange Cat cruise for Escape the Readathon. This month is Escape the Readathon month, and this is a fantastic readathon that I absolutely love from Lexie, from Books with Lexie, and the theme this year is the Orange Cat cruise. And this is a competitive readathon. There are reading prompts throughout the month, ones we know at the start of the readathon, some we'll learn along the way, and it's a lot of chaos, it's a lot of fun, and it has absolutely nothing reading-wise to do with boats, but last year it was a carnival theme and I had a ton of fun reading a bunch of carnival setting books. So this year, since we're on a cruise ship, unfortunately only a fictional one, I figured it would be a great time to read some books that have been on my TBR that are set aboard ships. So I'm not 100% sure how many books I'm going to get to with this. With this readathon, things can change and I might have to shift gears a little bit, but I'm hoping that some of my current reading will wind up meeting some of the challenges in the different games that we're going to be playing. And Lexie's really good about keeping prompts vague enough that you can generally fit a lot that you want to read in. I have a certain level of confidence. I think that's basically the idea of what's going on here. I will be back shortly with my initial thoughts on my first book, and I best get to reading. Happy weekend. It is the first weekend of Escape the Readathon, and I woke up this morning with a new prompt to read for, so I am going to be doing that with my first book set at sea, and that is The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. This is probably the one I had in mind for this vlog that has me the most nervous, but it is one that I've been wanting to get to. It's not short, so that's part of the issue. The main issue really is that it is very historical. It is set in 1634, and we are following a whole cast of characters. There's actually a notable passengers list, which I don't think is exhaustive, and we get a variety of POVs in here as well. Some are more directly following characters, some almost feel a little bit more of just narrative, third-person narrative, and so far I am actually enjoying this more than I expected to going in. So this is set aboard a ship that is sailing to Amsterdam. We have a look at the ship surrounded by rats at the bottom of the photo. So not sure this is a ship I would want to be setting sail on personally. On board the ship is a prisoner. He is actually known as the world's greatest detective, but he is being transported to Amsterdam for execution for a crime he may or may not have done, according to the synopsis and what we have in the story so far. And the person escorting him is Arndt, and he is really looking out for this man and trying to advocate for him not to just be locked in a room the entire voyage, especially as things start to get going in the book, because maybe having a detective on board wouldn't be a bad thing. The other kind of main character we're following is Sarah, and she is a wife and mother, and she's kind of looking forward to finding some way to get freedom for herself and for her daughter. And she has a lot of knowledge. She's very much someone who wants to be an independent woman. She has medical knowledge. She has a very firm backbone, and I really like her. And she starts off at the very beginning. There's a man who is dying on the docks before they even get on board, and she steps in to help out. Husband's not too happy about this. There's some really ominous stuff around this whole death and some warnings about the voyage itself. The husband wants nothing to do with all of this. As the ship gets going, more ominous things start happening. There's symbols that pop up around the ship. There's whispers. There's rumors of something supernatural happening. There's a lot going on here. And we wind up kind of with Sarah and Arndt being kind of our spearheads to investigating what actually is going on this ship. And Sarah gets her daughter involved. And there's a really nice solid cast of women who get involved with this overall, and I like seeing them find ways in a history where women didn't have a lot of agency, that these women are stepping up and finding ways to help each other, help the investigation, help figure out what's going on, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. It was very easy to get engaged with, and I have been reading it a little bit here and there since the start of the month, just in between other books, because it is a long one, so I wanted to get a head start on it. But I think I read about 30% just kind of yesterday, and it is very engaging. It's not super dense like some historical can be, and considering the large number of POVs we wind up getting back and forth, I'm not finding that too much of a struggle either once I kind of figure out who is who and can keep going on it. There's some really fun little passages where something ominous is happening on the ship, and it'll just be a chapter where you get little snippets of the point of view from different people around the ship and how they're experiencing what's going on. And I think that's adding a good atmosphere in here as well. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this one. I do have a live show happening in, I don't know how many hours from now. So that's my kind of only plan that's going to take me away from reading today. Other than that, my plan is to sit on the couch with Kylie, who you're probably hearing crunching on one of her toys, and my crochet. I'm working on something. I'll probably give you an update on that at some point because I feel like it's Shipboard appropriate. So I'm going to prioritize coffee and prioritize reading this and provide you with an update once I get to the end of it. I just finished up the live show for Wheel of Time, which was a lot of fun, even though we didn't all necessarily love the book. It's always a good time, and I've been joined by my sailor sidekick here, who saw me sit down and needed to be in my lap. Hopefully she will be non-chaos for a few moments at least, but I did want to come back and let you know that right before the live show started, I did finish up Devil in the Dark Water. And overall, I liked this one. I think I didn't love it. I think maybe if I had been in the mood for historical a little bit more, this one would have been more of a hit for me. I think it was really well plotted. I thought the twists and turns and the reveals of who different people are was well done. I definitely was surprised at some of the reveals. I still had fun kind of theorizing as I went through. Kylie has a green bunny that she really wanted to steal. That's why apparently she's in my lap right now. So we're just gonna stick that behind me and she can have it when we're done talking. But I don't even know what I was saying. I did have a lot of fun kind of going through and thinking through different theories along with the characters as they were looking around and trying to wonder what exactly was happening on this ship. And I think the ultimate answer wasn't exactly what I expected, but I appreciated that. And I think it was very engaging when I was sitting down and focusing on it. I do think the large cast of characters did throw me a few times where I had to kind of remind myself, okay, wait, who's this person? How are they related to this person? And some of that just might have been that this wasn't necessarily the best to pick up on audio exclusively for a while. When I sat down and read this for a while physically, that did help as well. So I think that was part of it. And I think just the whole historical nature of it just isn't exactly what I was in the mood for. So I'm still glad that I read it. I'm glad that this is the book to kick this vlog off, and we will see. Hopefully it's onwards to bigger and better things from here. But this has been submitted for the mediums team, and I'm ready to get back to reading after I grab some lunch and sit down and relax and enjoy the rest of the day reading. Okay, checking back in from here because I haven't moved my setup from being live earlier. So I wanted to check in because I am now a little more than 40% of the way through Red River 7 by A.J. Ryan. And this is the one book that I am adding to this vlog that I really didn't know much about going into it. When I was looking through some lists about boats set on books, books set on ships, I wanted to just kind of look at some lists and make sure there weren't some obvious ones I was missing from my actual physical shelves. And I came across this one and the synopsis jumped out at me. So I did pick it up from the library. And this one starts with a bang, literally. There is a gunshot and a man that we come to know as Huxley is woken up by it. Somehow he knows it was a gunshot. He's not sure how he knows. And he starts realizing he doesn't know who he is and he doesn't know anything about himself, but he has a lot of knowledge. Like he knows the parts of a ship because he finds out he's on a ship in the middle of the ocean. He knows what model gun the person next to him just shot himself with. And there's a lot of weirdness with this. He finds the name Huxley tattooed on his arm, and as he finds more people on the ship, none of whom know who they are, he finds that all of them have names on their arms. So they assume these are their names. They also assume that somewhere out there is some sort of a they, some sort of an entity that is controlling and monitoring them. There are a couple of things that they find that seem to show that there's some direction to why they're here or what they're meant to do, but they don't really know what that is. So I picked this up because it reminded me a lot of Six Wakes by, I think it's Max Lafferty. I could have that wrong. But that one is set in a spaceship where a bunch of people wake up without their memories. And that synopsis type of idea of having to figure out how you got here, what's going on, I really enjoyed. And I was hoping for something similar in here. I am very intrigued. This one definitely goes down some different roads. I think the way these characters come together and they each kind of figure out things about their knowledge base and maybe what their contribution to this group might be, and also question each other and question what's going on and how they got to the ship. And this one is much broader. I think with the synopsis, it sounded very much like they are on the ship. I think we're getting a little bit more of a big picture in this book than I was expecting. I wouldn't say I'm particularly drawn to any of the characters or super loving any of the characters necessarily. And some of that can be the fact that they don't know themselves either. And that is always kind of a risk in this type of amnesia trope type of story, but I am very intrigued to find out where this ultimately is going to go. It's not very long and the print is pretty big and it's pretty spaced out in here. So it's a very quick audiobook. I've made it to this point in not very, very long, so I'm sure I will finish this up quickly. I'm getting a little tired. I think I might take a little bit of a break. I've been fighting with my crochet because the yarn that I'm using just tangles so easily. You're just pulling yarn, and then all of a sudden a big huge knot comes out. And I've had to actually cut the yarn a couple times because I just couldn't win fighting the knots. And so far today, I haven't had to make any more cuts, but I've spent more time, I think, detangling the yarn than I have crocheting with the yarn. Thankfully, it wasn't like this the whole way through. It just seems to be, now that we're getting toward the end of this particular ball of yarn, it's getting worse. So I think I might just put it down for a little bit, put the book down for a little bit, maybe watch a little TV, do a little relaxing. I don't know. But Kylie's been snuggling with me on the couch, which has been nice. And we don't have any plans for the evening or for tomorrow. So I think if I pace myself and take a little bit of a break right now, that's not a bad thing. So I think that's the plan. I do think I will finish this up most likely tonight and move on to my next ship book. And we'll see. This one, I have noticed on Goodreads, the ratings aren't great. So I can kind of see why so far. I'm still intrigued, but we'll see. So I will check back in with you later. It is 10:30 and I am definitely losing steam this evening, but I did finish up my second book of the day, so I don't feel too badly about the fact that I'm about to give in and go to bed. But I never fully engaged in Red River 7. I think the ideas in here were interesting. The premise was interesting. The kind of plot direction also kind of interesting, but I never really connected with the characters. And I think the fact that they don't connect with themselves, like I said, is probably part of that. We don't get quite enough development out of them. There's stakes along the way, there's dangers along the way, but because I wasn't really connected with the characters, I didn't really feel bad when bad things happened to them. I think we got to see a wider ranging plot and setting than I expected from this. I expected more of the isolated setting of the ship, and that's not really where the focus of the plot remains. And I think this just wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I think the writing was fine. The ideas certainly were interesting. The world building issues were certainly something that intrigued me. But in the end, it was just an okay read. It wasn't one I necessarily had a hard time putting down when I took a break for a while earlier. I did want to pick it back up, so that was good at least. But I think it's landing on the low side of a 3-star for me in this one. So from here, one of the prompts that I can work on next actually has to do with the cover of this one. In order to pick the next book, I need to pick a color based on the color of this one. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what the prompt is, but the color family I'm going for matches my current crochet project. So with that in mind, I figured I would give you a little update. This is a very large granny square that I'm working on, and it is a very pretty yarn. I like the way the colors transition and stuff, but it is a very difficult yarn to kind of play with. So in the end, I talked to you earlier about all the knots I was getting. I've now kind of wrapped what yarn I have left around something, and I'm having to kind of peel it layer by layer off a little bit just to keep it from twisting again on me. And it's working, and I'm liking the look of this as it's going. And then I still have a little ways to go on the first ball, and then a little bit further to go after that, just using a ball of just the pure dark, so it'll stay dark on the outside. And ultimately, believe it or not, this square is supposed to become a sweater eventually, or a cardigan, or a little kind of relatively light cover up. So not sure I'm loving the yarn, but granny squares are just my new favorite thing, because once you get in the pattern of them, it's really easy to keep going. I do need to count at some point and see how close I am to finishing. I think I have another couple rows to go, and of course they keep taking longer the further you go, because each round the sides get longer. So this is where I'm at with this. I was just sitting crocheting it, listening to the end of that book, and my eyes just keep getting heavier and heavier. So I'm gonna let you know what kind of teal, blue, green book I'm picking up in the morning. Hint, you'll probably know from the thumbnail anyway, but it is on my TBR for the month. I actually have two options, but I think I'm leaning fantasy next, since I just kind of did a more thrillery, horror-y book, and we'll go from there. So I will check in with you in the morning. I'm about ready to call it tonight, and I'll let you know once I get going on my next book with some initial thoughts. It is now Sunday afternoon, and my day hasn't gone entirely according to plan. I woke up with a headache. There's been a lot of chaos happening in different discords and discussions, and a lot of fun being had, but I have to admit, it's taken a toll on my reading. But I have made it halfway into The Voyage of the Damned by Frances White, and this is, of course, the really, really pretty edition from Illumicrate, and we get another ship map in here, this time a dragon ship, which is fun, and a pretty foiled cover there as well. And I'm generally liking this, but it's so easy for me to get distracted from it, and I'm not sure if it's purely because I'm not feeling my best today, or there's just an extra level of distractions happening in life right now. This book is set in a world where there are 12 provinces, and there is a peace between all of them that is celebrated each year with a voyage where the heirs of each of the families goes out on this ship. And each of these heirs is granted a blessing, a magical ability of some sort that runs through the family line. And it only goes to one child and gets passed down that way. And each of them has different abilities, but they all have an ability, except for our main character. The main character is Ganymedes, something like that. Forgetting how the audiobook pronounces it, but he doesn't have a blessing. His father has let him know that he went out there sowing his wild royal oats, and probably somewhere out there is another kid that probably got the blessing. But they don't want anyone to know this. To maintain the peace, it needs to be the royal lineage, and our main character has to pretend he has an ability. And these heirs see each other once a year. It shouldn't be that hard, but this character is really not interested in taking this voyage, in maintaining this secret. They'd rather go off and goof off and have fun, and they have a challenge of eating all these different foods and eventually killing themselves by overeating, and this is what they would prefer to be doing. Instead, this voyage is happening, and then one of the heirs is killed on this ship. Obviously, it's a closed setting. They're out in the middle of waters, and this makes it kind of a closed mystery. The tone of this one is very jovial. It's very conversational, I would say, and that's not always my favorite. I don't dislike it so much in here, but I think because of that, maybe that's part of why it's not fully hooking me in and fully engaging me. I do like that they are kind of occasionally going through what they're thinking about this mystery. I'm not going to be able to, oh, there we go. They have like little things like this character has this motive, and you can kind of see it's laid out on the page like that too. And I do appreciate kind of those recaps happening periodically, but not so often to be distracting, especially when listening to the audio for chunks of this. We definitely have some angst and pining towards other characters in here with our main character, and some of that I haven't 100% necessarily bought into the attraction yet. So I'm still reserving judgment on this one. I can see why this is going to work for some people more than others. I find myself, unfortunately at the moment, fitting in somewhere in the middle, but not quite disliking it enough to put it down, but not quite engaged enough to say I'm loving it and it keeps calling me to pick it back up. So I do have a watch along this afternoon, so I have about half an hour more of reading, and then I'm going to switch to watching TV for a little bit, snuggle with Kylie a little bit, stay away mostly from screens for a little bit, other than the TV. That was a dumb thing to say, but stay away from my phone, let's put it that way. And hopefully once I pick this back up, and then maybe tonight my brain will be a little more settled once I've had a break to focus in and finish this off. I'm still hoping maybe I can finish it tonight, although we'll see. Not 100% positive on that. And then the last book I kind of have in mind for this particular vlog, I don't think I'm going to get in this weekend, but hopefully in the next day or two I will get to a final thriller for this vlog. It will not work currently for any of the prompts for the room we are reading, so I might have to throw in an arc for Arc Attack or something in between to get my team some book submissions before I pick up my next book for this vlog. But we shall see, and I am about to go make myself some lunch. I'll listen to a little bit more of the audio as I'm prepping for the watch along, and we'll go from there. Hello again from Sunday evening. It's not a great setup in terms of lighting, but I'm tired. It's fine. It is what it is, because I don't have that many thoughts on Voyage of the Damned. Unfortunately, I didn't love it as much as I would have hoped. I think it was fine. It stayed at like a 3 pretty much throughout. I was engaged by the mystery, but I think I didn't quite connect in with the main character as much as I would have liked to, and that hindered my ability to really love this book. So unfortunately not a huge win. I do wonder if my headache today, my distractedness today plays into that. I feel like that's the case with some books recently, but I am loving other books. So I don't think it's all me. I think it's maybe just I wasn't the perfect fit for this particular book. So I still think it's going to work better for a lot of people if you like more of the cozy, not cozy, but the kind of chummy way that narrator's talking, and his constant pining for people and thinking about people in romantic and sexual ways very frequently. Just not exactly my cup of tea. So this one wound up being a 3-star for me. Hopefully when I move on to my final book, things will pick back up. I'm in the mood for a quick, engaging thriller, so I'm kind of hoping that's what I have next up. So we will see how that goes. And I do still need to submit this one for my team, so that's next up. It's like 8:30 and I still haven't made dinner, so I may just do something quick and easy tonight. Although really I should cook because I got a Home Chef delivery today, and that means I do need to make those meals. So we'll see. I think for tonight, I'm just going to kind of get ready for bed early, get cozy, snuggle up with Kylie, and then we will tackle tomorrow. I'm hoping that my next book will be quick and I will be wrapping this up fairly quickly alongside it. So that's me rambling. I will call it here and check in with you tomorrow. I'm back because I have made it nearly to the halfway mark in my final book for my cruise themed vlog, and that is The Yacht by Sarah Goodwin. And so far I'm having a decent time with this. I wouldn't say I'm in love with it. I will, however, vent about the fact that I downloaded the audiobook for this so I could read on my way to work, maybe multitask a bit. It's one chapter on the audiobook. It's a 538-minute chapter on the audiobook. I hate it when they do that. And it's not an old book. It came out in 2024. It has clearly labeled chapters in here. Chapter 1. So I had to get past that because that makes it really hard to kind of switch back and forth between audio and a physical copy, which is my preferred method of kind of reading. But you kind of have to listen, and try to find where they hit a chapter break so you can figure out where in the book they are, and then find the chapter, and you wind up distracted from actually listening to the plot. So that was my vent. Moving on to the book. In this book, we're following Hannah, and she's kind of a normal girl. She's not super attractive. She's definitely not rich. She's a little overweight, and she has a bunch of rich friends. Her longtime friends since they were kids invites her for a party aboard a yacht that her boyfriend owns, and it's not really her scene. She gives her friend a gift. The friend just kind of gives it back. She's already drunk, and Hannah's not sure if she's just saying this isn't good enough or she's just so drunk she doesn't notice what she's doing. Hannah's someone who has a pretty solitary life, it sounds like. She had her father pass away very young, I think when she was like 8 or 9, and her mother has always been in love with him and not been able to move on from that, and that's her kind of depiction of relying on people, and having someone that you love means you're going to get hurt if you lose them. And she's just kind of stayed away from developing super close relationships, other than this best friend and another person from college who's on board that she sees periodically but not regularly. So things go about as expected. We've got a bunch of rich people behaving really badly, trigger warning for attempted sexual assault, trigger warning for just really stupid people doing stupid things, and there's drugs, there's drinking, there's dancing, there's chaos ensuing. And then they wake up the next morning and the boat has been set adrift. It's out in the middle of the ocean. No one really knows how this happened, or at least is willing to say they know how it happened. And then things get worse. So I am liking Hannah. I do feel bad for her. I do wish she had had more of a backbone in her history in dealing with her friend, so-called friend, and her friend's boyfriend or fiance or whatever the relationship is. That part I'm confused on. But the way she is growing as we get into this emergency situation and she is speaking up finally, I am really loving that aspect of it. We're learning secrets about these people. Not everything is as it seems. And like I said, more happens, things get worse. And I don't want to get into it, obviously, because at the halfway point, I'm feeling like everything at this point is spoilery. I'm finding this engaging. I'm finding it holding my attention. Once I kind of got into it and figured out the dynamics, I wouldn't necessarily say I feel like all of the characters are super fleshed out. I think we're getting to know Hannah really well because she's our POV character. And there's 2 couples on board, one being the couple involving her best friend, one being another couple, and they're kind of equally icky in a lot of ways, and I kind of get a little confused between who's who between the 2 of them. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily feeling like I know these characters all really well. I do like the guy, I think it's Harry, who she's known since college. He so far seems to be in her corner and really happy to see her standing up for herself more. And I don't trust nice guys in thrillers, so I don't entirely trust him, but so far I want to. So that's a good sign at least. So with that, I have a little bit of a headache still tonight, and I think I just want to take kind of a chill evening. I might listen to a little bit more of the audiobook, but I don't think I probably will finish it tonight, which is fine. I've been reading a lot so far this month, so I don't think that's a problem. And we'll see how things go. We're still waiting to escape a room. We're still waiting for updates from Lexie with more chaos. So I will keep chugging along with this one, and we shall see how I feel about it at the end. But I'm having fun with my virtual cruising with this vlog. So that's it. I will go ahead and sit down and relax for a bit and hang out with Kylie for a bit. She's eaten her dinner, and then I'm sure she's going to be in chaos mode post-dinner, and we'll see how that goes. Coming in at the end of a very long day to say that I did successfully finish up the yacht. And overall, I liked it. I think it had some really, really good tense moments, some scenes that definitely are sticking in my head, and overall, I think I liked the direction this took. We get some turns that I didn't expect in terms of the action of the plot and the way things went on this yacht as they're drifting at sea, and the consequences of this whole thing went further than I expected it to. So I did like that about it. I did feel like it got slow in places though, and it really didn't need to be quite as long. I think it could have been tightened up a little bit, but overall, I did enjoy it. I think it's landing at a 3.5 for me. This is an author I definitely would read again, and I'm glad I picked it up for this particular vlog. So with that, I finished up my extended weekend of reading boat-based books. Gotta go for an alliteration there. And I had a decent time with it. I don't know that I had any absolutely super duper wins from this stack, but there also weren't any that I absolutely detested from this stack, so I'm gonna take it as a win. Let me know in the comments below, do you have any favorite books that are set at sea or set aboard a ship? I would love to hear any recommendations. In terms of recommendations I could offer outside of this stack, I think my absolute favorite is going to be Mara Grant's Into the Drowning Deep. And if you're looking for a ship that's not really on the water anymore, you could go with From Below by Darcy Coates, where they're exploring a sunken ship. But with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap this vlog up here. If you've made it this far and you don't have any recommendations to offer or comments to add, maybe give me a ship emoji to let me know you made it this far. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it. And subscribe if you're interested in more of my Escape the Readathon reading, more of my themed vlogs, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll go ahead and leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.